I want to take you on a wild, magical ride through one of the strangest chapters of my life. A tale set in a place as mysterious and unpredictable as the frontier of a distant, uncharted galaxy. It all began at a glorious, enchanted pond. A pond that, in its own odd way, was a kingdom unto itself. Once upon a time, I discovered a magic pond that sparkled with secrets and legends. In that shimmering expanse, a frog named Nyongyo reigned as king. Now, let me tell you, the crown wasn't earned through noble deeds or grand conquests. Nyongyo was a fake king, a sad, lonely monarch who'd once been kidnapped by an evil witch and left to rule over a stinky, cursed pond. I remember thinking, how can someone so clearly adrift in misery be considered royalty? It was a kingdom without real friends, a kingdom where despair reigned louder than any royal decree. Word had spread through the river bottoms that this pond was off limits, a forbidden place ruled by a fearsome witch known as Rana. To the outside world, the pond was shrouded in mystery and danger. Rana had cast a spell so potent that outsiders were repelled like unwelcome intruders. And if that wasn't enough, she appointed a pond security coordinator, a lazy but equally wicked turtle named Ninja, to keep everything in line. I recall how, with a single flick of her magic wand, Rana would toss Ninja into the murk of the pond. Her dark magic had transformed the surface into a nightmarish circus. Fire-breathing worms wriggled about, sulphurous waters stank terribly, monstrous leaves with enormous eyes and sharp-toothed mosquitoes buzzed around, and poisonous snakes slithered everywhere. Yet, beneath that cursed facade, the pond's depths held a breathtaking secret. Crystal-clear waters shimmering with radiant lights that danced over scattered gold, sapphires, emeralds, and pearls. But that hidden beauty had been pilfered away by the witch, leaving behind nothing but despair, and the unhappily trapped Nyongyo as her prized, miserable treasure. Then there was Ninja, the turtle tasked with the unglamorous duty of keeping the pond in order. Unlike the restless heroes of space western legends I'd heard about, Ninja was lethargic and unmotivated. Every day, he grudgingly dove into the grim, stinky water, holding his breath as he swam toward the bottom. And wouldn't you know it? As he descended, the murk transformed into radiant crystal paths that led him to a majestic gemmed castle deep below. But all that arduous work wore him out. Ninja, ever the slothful guardian, soon found a cozy corner and took long, luxurious naps that lasted for hours, leaving the pond's chaos largely unchecked. Inside that castle, an opulent fortress built from gold, dazzling sapphires, emeralds, and pearls, Rana had stored away not only the pond's stolen treasures, but also every living creature unfortunate enough to be trapped there. Rana, that cruel witch, was more than a villain. She was a kidnapper and a thief with a twisted sense of amusement. Her favourite trophy? None other than poor Nyongyo, whose miserable existence made her laugh at his suffering. I can still hear the echoes of that dark magic, a reminder of how a heart can be crushed by cruelty. Now, let me tell you about a day in the life of the fake king himself. Nyongyo wasn't your typical regal frog. He was an ogre of a frog, egotistical and perpetually unhappy. With long, blonde, curly dreadlocks and a wardrobe of clothing spun from golden threads and adorned with big, gaudy pink diamonds on his ankles, he had every material luxury one could imagine. His bed, neatly made with soft feathers and rosewater petals, might have seemed fit for royalty, yet his heart was a barren wasteland. Every day, an endless routine unfolded before him. Breakfast in bed, daily exercise, which he never really enjoyed, haircuts, pedicures, makeup sessions for photo shoots, and so on. He had a personal assistant to read his agenda and a whole court of specialists, from a hairstylist to a chef, a fitness coach, a doctor, and even a jester. Despite all this opulence, nothing could fill the void of his loneliness. I remember watching from the shadows as even Ninja, the lazy pond keeper, observed Nyongyo sinking deeper into despair, day after day. Every day, his assistant would timidly announce, "Your Majesty, as usual there are no special guests, just me, myself, and I." And I'd watch as Nyongyo would sneer, "What is your name, you lowly gummy individual?" In a stammer, the poor fellow would answer, "Fidoreti Nutalini, sir, your Majesty." And with a curt dismissal from Nyongyo, Fidoreti Nutalini would bow and scurry away, his name barely a whisper in that dour court. Then came the chef, Franua, who always arrived at 8 a.m. sharp. He would gently place a lavish breakfast on Nyongyo's ornate table before hastily retreating. Yet, not even a kind word or a friendly greeting was spared by the fake king. "What's your name, you floopy floppish fellow?" Nyongyo would bark. Franua, taken aback by this unexpected cruelty, would reply in a tiny voice, "Franua, your Majesty," only to be mocked before disappearing like a shadow. At 9 a.m, the hyped-up fitness coach, Guaner, would burst into the room with his booming, cheery commands.
1,
2, 3, up, down, to the left, to the right. His exuberance was meant to ignite energy and life, yet Nyongyo would simply glare, musing, "I can't get out of bed," his voice heavy with sorrow. Guaner, undeterred, would introduce himself with a flourish. "I am Guaner, your Majesty, your fitness coach." But all his efforts were met with cold dismissal. At 10 a.m, the hairstylist Ella would sprint in, nearly breathless from her rush. "Senor Nyongyo, your Majesty, are you ready?" she'd exclaim. With a roll of his eyes, Nyongyo would mutter a half-hearted "I guess," and the routine would begin, washing, drying, curling, and styling his unruly locks. Only when Ella prepared to leave would Nyongyo, in his typical sarcastic fashion, ask, "Do you also have a silly name?" Ella, caught off guard, would whisper back, "My name is Ella," before hurrying away in embarrassment. Next in line was the silent manicurist. Without a word, she would meticulously clean and polish Nyongyo's nails. When he awoke from a brief nap to find his hands looking immaculate, he'd exhale deeply and mutter, "Life is so hard." And just like that, she vanished into the background, leaving nothing but a quiet trace of beauty in her wake. Not long after, the makeup artist Ruby would arrive with enormous bags of makeup and a collection of mirrors. "This will be fast, Your Majesty. Just a new 5-minute technique," Ruby would say flatly. Nyongyo, ever the cynic, would retort with a piercing, "No one cares anyway." And in mere minutes, Ruby would finish the job and when pressed for a name, nervously confess, "My name is Ruby," before bowing and disappearing. After lunch and a brief siesta, the masseuse Chakras would come in. Elegant and graceful, Chakras would bow as he prepared his tools. But even during the soothing massage, Nyongyo's mind was elsewhere. "Hold on, what is your name?" he'd demand, and with a hesitant reply of, "Me name is Chakras, Your Majesty," Chakras would scurry away, leaving behind only the memory of his fleeting touch. As the afternoon wore on, Dr. Butter was always the last to arrive, late, as if time itself were mocking him. Finally arriving at 3:30 p.m, he'd conduct a rapid medical checkup. Open your mouth. Let me see your tongue. Still long and sticky. That's good. Take a deep breath. Eye check. Good. Knee reflexes. Excellent for tall jumps. Your skin is still a fine green. Marvelous. In 5 minutes flat, Dr. Butter would finish, leaving Nyongyo to muse bitterly. What's the point of you coming here every day? I could almost feel the weight of his hopelessness as he sat staring out a window, watching the darkness drip like melting snow. Dinner time was meant to be a moment of joy and entertainment, but not for poor Ai. The Jester, trembling with stage fright, stood before the stern, unyielding king. I remember the sight. Ai, sweating and shaking, on the verge of collapse as he faced the fearsome king, whose cruelty had long suppressed any spark of laughter. Deep inside, I could sense a flicker of pity for Nyongyo. His heart had become as hard and cold as a river rock on a snowy day, a heart that no amount of luxury or pomp could warm. Even the Jester's desperate performance couldn't break through that icy exterior. One day, something changed. In a moment of raw, unfiltered honesty, I mustered the courage to speak up. "Your Majesty, I quit," he declared, wiping away his tears. I recall the stunned silence that followed, the court collectively holding its breath. "Why?" Nyongyo finally asked, unable to fathom that anyone would abandon their luxurious life at court. "You are the silliest frog I have ever met," I retorted, his voice ringing with newfound conviction. "You work hard at nothing, take pride in all the wrong things, and though you have it all, nothing makes you happy. You scorn everyone around you, and if you don't change, you'll never have a true friend." The words struck like a bolt of lightning. Behind heavy curtains, every member of the royal court listened in disbelief. And then something unexpected happened. Nyongyo, the fake king, began to cry. At first, it was a single tear, a symbol of all the sorrow he'd long suppressed. But soon, tears flowed like a healing river, each drop purging the accumulated sadness and selfishness from his heart. Dr. Butter, ever the odd sage, declared, "These tears are like healing darts, piercing his heart. Once they run out, he'll be reborn with a new heart." The court gasped in unison, as if they were witnessing the birth of something miraculous. Then, for the first time in his miserable reign, something extraordinary happened. Nyongyo smiled, a small, tentative smile that grew into a hearty grin, and before long, he was laughing. His laughter filled the pond, echoed by the stones, and spread to every dark corner of that cursed kingdom. Dr. Butter returned for another checkup and announced, "He's fine. Soon, his laughter will purge all the selfishness, and he'll finally have a noble heart." The court was baffled, yet hopeful, as Nyongyo laughed for 3 whole days, until every last remnant of his sorrow melted away. In the midst of this transformation, a change of heart occurred that even the darkest magic could not conceal. For the first time, Nyongyo, with genuine warmth in his eyes, called out, "Please, bring me Ai." I watched, heart pounding, as Fidoreti Nobility hurried to fetch the brave Jester. "Thank you, Fido," Nyongyo said softly, a kind smile playing on his lips. When Ai approached, trembling yet determined, Nyongyo gently took his hand. And then, as if by magic, golden friendship strings wove themselves between their hearts, a bond stronger than any spell, a promise that real friendship had the power to change even the coldest heart. The entire court, witnessing this unexpected display of genuine affection, was astonished. Whispers and exclamations filled the air as they realized that something wonderful was unfolding before their eyes. A transformation that would reshape the destiny of that enchanted pond. And then, in a moment of pure, radiant clarity, the witch's dark spell was broken. Rana's wicked magic, which had imprisoned the pond's beauty and its creatures, shattered like fragile glass. The fake, sorrowful king was freed from the chains of sadness and selfishness that had long defined him. His old, dark heart, once so full of hate and despair, was replaced with a heart that overflowed with love and laughter. In that miraculous moment, I witnessed the rebirth of Nyongyo. No longer was he the fake king, a miserable, lonely frog ruled by despair. He had become Nyongyo, the true king. Through the power of friendship and the courage to change, he learned that to have friends, one must first learn to become a true friend. And as the pond sparkled with renewed magic, the kingdom celebrated the birth of a ruler whose heart shone as brilliantly as the treasures hidden beneath the water's surface. As I sit here, recounting these chapters of an absurd yet profoundly moving tale, I'm reminded of the power of change, the strength found in friendship, and the magic that lies in the unlikeliest of places. It's a story that taught me that true nobility isn't measured by crowns or riches, but by the light you bring into the lives of others. So, my friend, if you ever find yourself feeling trapped in a stinky pond of despair, remember the saga of Nyongyo, the fake king who became true through the healing power of laughter and friendship. And maybe, just maybe, you'll find that even the most sorrowful heart can learn to laugh. And in that laughter, create a universe filled with hope and magic. The end.